So I'm assuming the rest of the party finished their rest after the ghouls were dealt with.
I mean, we haven't really gotten to that.
Alright, fair enough.
We literally just killed them all.
Yeah. We ended, as the last one dropped.
Yeah.
So. Well, last time, the party had paid out of pocket for 2 carts to be built by a Brotherhood engineer.
Nugget.
His name's not Nugget. I reject this.
Nugget rejects your face.
And while those 2 carts were being built, mainly George and Nancy decided to buy 2 Brahmin from the local traders.
You have Hank and Dinkles.
Excuse you,
Previously
Tom
known as
Hanks.
Biggie Smalls and Teddy.
No, we don't have Teddy.
That's true.
I thought you got Teddy.
No, Teddy was the fucking beefy one that the little kid really didn't want to let go.
That was not a little kid. That was a grown adult.
That was a grown adult the size of a little kid because Teddy kept stealing his food.
He wasn't short, he was emaciated.
So, you got
We got Tom Hanks.
Yep. We got the average one and Biggie.
Yeah.
We got the, impressively average Brahmin.
The overly average Brahmin and the mini Brahmin.
Who George will keep as a pet.
I thought the mini one was named Biggie.
It was.
Okay. What was the other one?
I don't remember.
Tom
I think
Hanks.
It didn't have a name. No.
It didn't have a name when we got him, but we named him Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Nancy proposed the name, and George did not fight it. George was, if anything, more baffled she knew who Tom Hanks was, and just chose to let that lie.
But
I quote from last time, George, I don't know where this came from. Maybe it was some kind of epiphany, but some voice is telling me we should name this Brahmin Tom Hanks.
But
either way.
Afterwards, the party set out toward the naval base. In the direction of the naval base. And along the way, right before nightfall, the party came up to a bombed out city, just full of feral ghouls. And after hiding the Brahmin in a nearby garage, the party proceeded to scorch earth all of the ferals. At least all of the ones that were in the surrounding area that got drawn by the noise. So, that's where we left off when you had just finished killing the ferals. Lucas is farther down the street on his own in a building on the 2nd floor. George and Nancy are on top of the garage, and the 2 Brahmin and Truffles are inside the garage with both garage doors closed.
I'm going to say that George descends like a carrion upon the field of ghoul corpses.
Okay.
I will say Lucas will go ahead and he's going to get down from his perch on the 2nd floor of this building and start scouting around the outskirts of this area, looking for any other entities that might not have been drawn in.
Okay. And what is Nancy doing?
I'm gonna say, after, throwing the last grenade like a boss and, watching all this fire and death, she has this kind of smile on her face that kind of looks off, but she's definitely satisfied with the results. She calmly calmly gets to the ground, just kind of smiles over the handiwork, having a weird moment.
Okay. So, George,
Mm-hmm.
are you going to search all of the bodies?
Yeah.
All right. George and Lucas roll perception.
George rolled a 19.
18.
All right. George, there
Mhm.
are, I think the exact number was 72 ghoul corpses.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Have fun. It's gonna take you a while.
It is going to take a very long
Good
time.
Lord.
Besides the fact that more than 70% of them are blown to smithereens and bits and pieces are everywhere.
Bits and pieces. Heard enough.
It's going to take you a very long time for you to search through all of them. Do you still want to proceed?
George ain't no quitter.
All right.
Can Nancy help him in this endeavor?
Roll perception.
Hold on. Oh, why did I do this? Why did I think this was a good idea? Okay, hold on. Un momento, por favor. I forgot to take out my dice, which I put in a bottle. Don't ask me why I put it in a bottle. Alright.
Why?
Nat 20! Holy crap, the dice love me today.
And that's just roll number 1, Marina.
I mean, they love me right now.
The dice are a fickle mistress.
Or mister. Oh, I'm gonna let the dogs out.
Who let the dogs out, Marina?
So, both George and Nancy take the better majority of about 20 minutes to rifle through the pockets, try and find the pockets, try and find the lower half of the body to find the pockets of the vast majority of ghouls. All in all, George, both of you are doing it. So George and Nancy, collectively, you find about 200 caps.
Nice.
Collectively?
Yep.
Awesome. You wanna maybe split that 3 ways so we can give some to Lucas?
George looks at Nancy,
What?
then looks in the general direction of the superfluous cart. Then hands Nancy all of the caps and walks away silently.
I'm confused. Why are you giving me all the money?
Because you made George pay for a second cart that we didn't need, and that Truffles refused to sit in. And then you asked George for some of the money.
Hey, she helped kill those ghouls. Fair and square.
That's like somebody giving you their last 20 to go get some snacks or something, and then as you're walking towards them with the snacks, you find another 20 on the ground. You're like, sweet, a 20. You just pocket it and keep walking.
All right. Lucas,
Mm.
you are a lucky bitch.
Mm.
So you're specifically searching for anything you missed?
Anything we might have missed, yes.
Okay. As you are searching through alleyways, main streets, not exactly going into buildings, but at least glancing inside to know if there's anything hiding in there.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the majority of the ghouls, at least in the surrounding 2 to 3 blocks, were completely drawn towards the explosions.
Mm-hmm.
On the border of, on the exact other side of the park that you were near,
Mm-hmm.
There is what looks to be a humanoid figure on all fours, just walking around, like walking on all fours, and seems to be sniffing the ground.
That's all I can make out. I can't make out any details as to what it might be covered in, or...
If you want to go closer, you can, but there is a chance that it might notice you.
Punch it in the face.
Would you like me to roll a stealth check if I was getting closer, John?
If you're getting closer, you can roll stealth, yes.
Okay.
Descend like the majestic eagle you are.
23.
Okay.
You descend fairly majestically.
As you're getting closer, you notice that it looks like a ghoul, but it is somewhat different to a ghoul, as a lot of its bones are sticking out. The entirety of its spine is outside of its body, and it's hunched over, and the hands of this creature, they're not really hands anymore. They're just sharpened bones that, as they're walking along the ground, they're making a slight tick sound every time they touch the pavement.
Ah, good. Necromorphs.
Sounds more like one of the enemies from Dying Light, or not Dying Light, Dead Island.
Interesting you say that, because as you get closer, you hear it making this clicking sound as it keeps sniffing. So it sniffs the ground. And continues. For the moment, it doesn't know you're there.
Okay. I'm going to back away. I'm going to make a mental note of the area of the town this thing is in.
Okay.
I'm going to back away slowly. And I'm going to start and keeping it as good an eye on it as I can until I feel like I'm a good enough distance away. I'm going to just kind of head back towards the park and the cluster of fuck that just went on prior.
All right. And for reference, the city itself is about 20 blocks wide.
Okay.
You just entered the city on the northwest side of the city.
Okay.
And the park is directly in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And this creature is on the southeast side, directly across from where the party is right now.
Yeah. I'm gonna head back towards the bombing site, and when I get back, I'm gonna specifically look for the corpse of the Shrieker.
Okay. It doesn't take too long to find the corpse of the Shrieker, as it was killed by gunfire as opposed to an explosion.
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for anything specific?
Any strangely mutated organs that it might have on it.
Okay. The Shrieker itself, from the neck down, it looks exactly like a normal female ghoul.
Okay.
From the neck up, its entire lower jaw is gone, and it seems that its throat has swelled to abnormal sizes. Not to where it's bloated, but it's bigger than normal.
Okay.
And it seems that its vocal cords are still intact and still visible.
Yeah, because of the screaming.
Yeah. but there's no like windpipe or skin or anything in the way. So it is just vocal cords to the outside world.
Yeesh.
Can I try and harvest those?
The vocal cords?
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool. Do you need me to roll either enter or agility to harvest it properly?
Agility.
21.
All right. With a fair amount of ease, you're able to specifically cut out the vocal cords of this shrieking ghoul,
Mm-hmm.
and you now have one ghoul vocal cord, or shrieker vocal cord, I should say.
Good luck finding someone to purchase that.
I mean, we've got scientists.
Hey, so I got these vocal cords. Where'd you get it? A corpse. Okay. Is there anything you know about the corpse? It was a ghoul. They look at you.
So even after taking the time to go over to the other creature, walk all the way back, and harvest the shrieking ghoul's vocal cords. Even then, as you look up, George and Nancy are just finishing searching through all the ghoul corpses.
Cool. John, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of the empty vials that once had the liquid radiation in it, and I'm going to fill it up with ghoul blood.
Okay.
Ah, you're a vampire.
Actually, very effective poison is what it is.
That's fair.
So, what would you like to do?
I'm just going to I'm going to walk over to, I'm going to walk over towards George and Nancy, and I'm just going to kind of, I'm going to motion them to come a little closer. As not like I'm stopping, but I'm just kind of motioning them like meet me halfway, you know. Either way, whenever I get up to them, I'm just going to be like, "So there's something else out there."
Okay.
Apparently didn't hear the explosions.
What?
George looks around the surrounding area. Surprising.
Very. Do you either of you gentlemen know anything that would do that?
Not necessarily.
Something that's deaf?
Possibly. It did look like it was sniffing the ground.
I love it when we meet new creatures. Nancy kind of twitches her eyes.
Well, I typically don't have much of a scent. He looks at Nancy. She's okay. And then he looks at Lucas.
Hey, I use a shower. Fuck you.
Yeah, you're still an irradiated corpse.
I'm not a corpse. I'm still very much alive.
Your body's decomposed. Never mind.
Regardless, it's got spikes for hands, by the way.
God.
Rather, what's left there seems like it's been kind of ground to a point.
Of course. What else would it have? You know, like normal hands or something.
That's interesting. Almost sounds like something that would be done intentionally.
Maybe.
Oh yay, mad scientist.
I mean, that could be the case, or it could be this thing has been primal for a while and just running around on all fours, ground down its hands.
Ugh.
I personally have never seen something with bone blades.
I didn't really say they were blades, more so there was just jagged bone where their hands were supposed to be. Also, their spine is, whatever its spine is ripped out of its back and kind of flopping around.
How do these things function?
Again, I have a feeling with help.
My medic mind does not like the anatomy that is happening here.
Now,
That's fair.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's probably not the only one.
Oh, fun!
That's fair.
There are deaf creatures with nubby hands to kill.
But it's direct to tell you where it is, or rather a general idea. And I point towards the other end of the park. It's prowling around over there.
What do you propose we do, Lucas, since you're the one who saw it?
Well, it's similar in appearance to a ghoul, aside from the very obvious differences. However, I'm sure George can attest to this. Not all ghouls are created equal.
George nods. Kind of like sins. Some of us have brains. Some of us not so much.
Some of you are third gen.
Well, that's a different...
But yeah, so whatever the thing is, it's in that direction. It could be a scavenger. I didn't see any others around it, but that doesn't mean there aren't any others in the city.
You could try to get the jump on it. If they didn't hear explosion, they might not react to gunfire.
Again, I highly doubt you don't have some aroma, George.
I'm mostly metal, and I'm wearing mostly metal.
You've also got oil all going through your system, and probably a good layer of it covering your joints.
Not to mention all the crab juice you still haven't washed off yourself.
Yeah, there's that too.
Has he really?
You haven't taken a bath.
So yeah, you probably will be the first thing it notices if it tracks by smell.
Nancy takes out her laser pistol. Got it. So I kill it, right? That's what we're suggesting? No? Maybe?
Working off this information, I'd still say that me and Lucas are the most likely to draw attention then. And
Yes.
George
But I
pauses.
get to jump on it.
I'm also going to point out you two have been searching around through corpses.
Yes,
You probably smell a death.
and as an additional note, we don't actually know anything about it. We don't know that it's death.
We don't know that's death. I feel confident in saying it's got at least some semblance of an acute sense of smell.
That seems like a safe gamble.
Or
Either way,
it's not. Is there a possibility, gentlemen, that this could possibly be a creature that doesn't want to do us harm? You know, like for
Sure.
months?
George looks at Nancy. Blank, expressionless face.
I'm just saying, it'd be the first time, sure, but it's not entirely impossible. Like you two. You two didn't kill me.
I've thought about it.
Yes, and you did punch me that one time, but I kind of deserved it, so...
George kind of puts his crab juice covered hand on Nancy's shoulder. That was a joke, Nancy.
I will say, for the record, I could easily say that, George, you wiped off the majority of the crab bits and pieces off of yourself, but there are still stains.
Okay, and he still smells of seafood.
To a more than average degree.
Okay, more than normal. George smells like... I like the insinuation that George traditionally smells like crab.
He smells like Stemmy's trash can.
Either way. So yeah, George just kind of looks at Nancy. Not at any point have I considered killing or harming you. I'll accept the punch. The punch was... If I didn't do it, someone else was. Either way. Alright, so what do we want to do? Do we want to run or do we want to fight?
Nancy,
Well,
take
again,
out her pistols.
it has-
I'm
it
in
has-
the mood. Let's go.
It hasn't discovered us, so we have at least that.
I'm sneaky. I want to kill it.
Nancy, shut up. Nancy,
I
shut the
want to
fuck up.
kill it.
Shut the fuck up.
George looks at Lucas. Be nice to Nancy.
Shut the fuck up. Let me talk.
Be nice to George.
It doesn't know we're here yet. Or it could know we're here. I think it doesn't know we're here. But we also don't know if A, it's the only one, if B, how dangerous it actually is. C, we could just stay the night. But if it comes within range of the garage, it'll probably find us. Which means that's going to leave you, George, on the roof doing Overwatch.
I kind of figured I'd be doing that regardless.
Can I just kill it, please?
Nancy,
Please?
Nancy, not everything should be killed. Not on a moral standpoint, but simply because things are dangerous.
You have a point.
George kind of looks at everybody. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but, well, being a Debbie Downer. We also, as you've said, have no idea how many there are, and quite frankly, I've never been here before. I don't know what's out there. So, staying here, we risk it finding us. Going forward, we risk it finding us. Because the province, not terribly fast.
No. So do we kill it? Do we try to find it and then get the jump on it?
Or, and she looks to George specifically, we could have someone who's very good with nonverbal creatures try to befriend it or something.
George looks at Nancy. Well, okay, how about this? I'll humor you.
Nancy, you own a dog.
George looks at Lucas.
But he's more charismatic.
Lucas, I look at George. I look back to you, Nancy. To some people, maybe.
Listen, Lucas, we know your heart is made of Noofle or whatever, but apparently only a certain medic back at the Brotherhood could melt it.
Okay. George looks at Nancy and Lucas. Alright, here's my solution. Lucas, bring us to the murder beast. I will approach it and try to talk to it. And if it looks like it's about to pounce me and try to rip my face off, I'm going to shoot it. And you two are also going to shoot it.
Nah, I don't think it's going to be ripping much more, so it's going to be stabbing.
Point
But
taken.
sure. But sure. Nancy, you
Yes.
are with me.
Sounds good.
When we do this, I fire first.
Well,
I mean, I'm probably going to fire first. It's going to be right in front of me.
I'm specifically saying for me and Nancy, I will fire first.
understood.
Personally, I think the Brahmin should fire first.
Shut up. Anyways. Alright, are we doing this?
Sounds like it.
Yep.
All right. I will say, at this point, it is about 10:30 at night.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, John, aside from the stealth check I'm about to make, I'm also going to make another perception check. Both to try and locate it again. Now that I know it makes that clicking noise, I can possibly have a better chance at finding that. As well as just keeping an eye out for our flanks. I'm also just because I'm super skeptical, rooftops. I'm watching rooftops.
I like this idea.
So I'm going to roll my stealth first.
Everyone roll a stealth, and those who want to roll perception also roll perception.
All right.
Should George roll stealth since he's trying to talk to it?
It's up to you.
No, I'm going to say George does not roll stealth because he is actively going to be exposing himself to it.
Then I'm going to be leading Nancy away from George, like still keeping him in eyesight, but I'm going to be trying to lead Nancy closer to me.
Okay.
Because if George isn't rolling stealth, it would be kind of counterintuitive if me and Nancy, who were rolling stealth, I assume you're rolling stealth, were right next to you.
Yeah, that was the plan. You two were going to be like stationed somewhere off the side watching, and if things turn sour, let's be honest, they probably will.
Okay, I mean, either way, I'll explain after. I'll explain what my... Anyways. So yeah, my rolls. The perception check was a 17, and the stealth check was a 21 for me.
Okay. Nancy?
Am I applying ninja to this?
Nope.
It should be. No.
Ninja is damage, not stealth bonus.
Oh.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Oh, wait, no. Ninja is... What the fuck? Hold on.
Ninja's a stealth bonus.
Why the fuck did I think it was damage bonus?
We listened to you because she
Oh,
trusted
you know what? Because I fucking wrote it wrong in my fucking stats. Okay, so yeah, my stealth is a 23.
You lied to me.
Shut up.
Nancy, to your stealth roll, add a +2.
Alright, I got a 16, so that's 18 plus... Do I add agility to that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So, 18 plus 3 is 21. And so that's my stealth. And I'm also doing perception?
If you want.
Aw, man. That's an 11.
All right. So,
Oh, George does roll perception. He got a 15.
okay. Specifically speaking, are you walking through the park or down the main roads?
What way did Lucas initially take?
Whatever that happened. I was going down the main roads, right, John?
Previously, when you first found it, you were using the main roads to skirt, like, around the border of the park.
Okay. And then I came back through the park, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just leading the most direct path.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, from your direction, that would be through the park. So, George, as you are walking through the park, you notice that the park is heavily damaged. Almost all of the trees are dead. There seems to be no plant life alive. The grass is dead, all brown and gone. Even the dirt seems a little bit scorched. The park benches that were there are either caved in, missing, or heavily broken. There are signs of something being in the area with a square shape. It could have been a trash can that was nailed to the ground. It could have been a lamppost. But all of those seem to have been ripped up. And the very small pond that is in the center of the park is completely dried up. And as you are passing the pond, Lucas, as you are slowly skirting pretty much on the outside of the park, and as you're watching George, as you're keeping an eye out on all angles, rooftops, down alleyways, anywhere conceivably something could sneak up on you, you hear a very familiar
do I have a direction of that, or?
It is coming from behind you, down an alleyway. You can't see the creature, but you can hear it.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of very, very faintly tap Nancy on the arm and just point and start walking. And then at George, George, are you like you're watching me because I'm the one leading us through. I kind of motion to you, and I point down the alleyway.
Okay.
Nancy and George, what would you like to do?
I'm gonna say Nancy sees what Lucas is gesturing to, nods, and just kind of is ready to follow whatever he wants to instruct next.
Okay.
George. So wait, I zoned out for a second. So did we see it down that way?
I heard it there.
You heard it.
Oh, so we
Alright.
didn't see it. Okay, my
No,
bad.
You do not see it. You just hear it.
George is going to motion for you two to get to your zones, and he's going to head down that direction.
Mm-hmm. John, what is the immediate area of us? Is this like the benches and torn up shit? Is there...
The immediate area, you are still in the park. So, yes, there are little pavements and little sidewalks that are in the park. There are a few like dead bushes and dead trees around the area, but you are kind of on the border, teetering towards the main street that's right next to the park.
Okay.
You heard it across the street down a nearby darkly lit alley.
Okay.
Of course.
So I mentioned, I just kind of gestured at that alley, and I'm gonna like post Nancy up on one side, and then I'm gonna walk to be kind of like the equivalent distance on the opposite side of the alley.
Okay.
So you're going
Yeah,
up
you
both
got to fight
walls
it.
down the alley?
Like I'm waiting for
Before
like
going
George,
down.
like yeah, before we're going down it.
Okay.
It's like we're posting up so that if George needs to, he can fucking haul ass out of the alleyway, and we can open fire when it comes out.
Okay. And George, what are you doing?
George is he's waiting for them to be in like decent stealth positions. And then he is going to make for that alley.
All right. Nancy and George.
Yeah.
George, as you are walking down the alley,
Mm.
further in around a corner, so the alley goes downwards and then breaks left.
Mm.
Down the alley, you hear the creature and Nancy. From down the alley, you also hear faint sniffing and the clicking that it makes.
All right. George.
Sounds creepy.
George looking very skeptical and honestly somewhat annoyed.
Okay.
Just kind of calls out into the alley. "Ah, howdy, I'm George."
All right. What you previously heard was as soon as you speak, as soon as you say howdy, you hear
Oh, fun.
nothing else happens. What would you like to do?
So, you heard me. I'm just gonna stand over here. If you want to come out and talk, interact, I'm just right here. Not going anywhere.
From down the alley, you do hear this almost like nails tapping on any flat surface.
Mm.
So as they walk, you hear the rhythmic tapping of bone against the ground,
Mm.
and you hear constant growling.
Huh.
They're just gonna wait for it.
George decides, making me a little uncomfortable, and he's gonna take a couple steps back.
All right. After a brief moment, there is a very quick succession of tappings and silence.
Can George try to roll? This is a long shot. Can George try to roll intelligence to see if that's Morse code or some shit?
Okay.
Try and glean anything from that?
All right. Go for it.
That is a nat 20.
All right.
This is probably a really stupid thing to nat 20 on.
From what you heard, it sounded as if this creature was walking on the average concrete of the alleyway. When you heard the quick succession of tapping before the silence, it sounded like the tapping moved to a different surface.
George's eyes widen.
Yeah, I figured.
George is going to make quickly out of the alleyway. And he's going to look up. Well, he's not going to. He's just going to kind of generally announce, yeah, it's on the roof.
Nancy's looking around very frantically. Pistols at the ready.
Mm-hmm.
Can she make a perception check, please?
Anyone who wants to, make a perception check.
You got it, buddy.
Oh, thank God. 19. Please tell me what's happening.
17.
17.
All right.
Dual 17s.
So,
It's the sun.
the second that George announces it's on the roof, the entire party starts looking up towards the roof. And while Lucas and George are looking up at the roof, to see if it's peeking over the corner of a roof or anything, Nancy, on a small hunch, you look down the alley and you see this humanoid-looking creature with its spine completely ripped out of its back, and its back flipped open almost. Its bony-like fingers digging into the brick of the building as it is crawling on the side of the alleyway outwards towards where you are at a very, very slow pace.
Nancy's gonna point her pistols at it, kind of look at it for a little bit, see if it's gonna try anything. But I think after a while, she just decides she's not gonna take any chances. Can she open fire and shout to the gentleman, "It's over here"?
All right. Roll to hit.
That is a 16.
16. Okay. What are you firing at it with?
Can I fire both my laser pistols, one in each hand? Is that a thing I can do?
You would have to roll again to hit, but yes.
16 again.
All right. Nancy,
Yes.
as soon as you pull up your guns, the second you fire, the creature cocks its head towards you, and you can see two very hollow and vacant eye sockets as it immediately just detaches from the wall and drops to the ground as the bullets whiz past it.
Oh, man.
And George and Lucas,
Mm-hmm.
you are fairly startled by the gunshot directly next to you, but your eyes follow to what Nancy is pointing at and what she shouted at, and you see the creature on the ground. And Lucas, you get a look at it. It is the same creature that you saw earlier, but you didn't see its face. Its face is essentially a skull.
So echolocation then. Good.
So, I would like everyone to roll initiative.
You got it. I'm going first.
I've rolled a 7.
I rolled a 12.
Well, with the knowledge that I can now akimbo, John, question.
Yeah.
For the future, when using akimbo, do we want to add that as an agility perk, so that you can actually get so that you're I'm stuttering. I don't know why. If you're akimboing, like your second pistol in your offhand doesn't get your bonus unless you have this perk, like it is as a feat in D&D.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to do that for the future?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. So, do we want to have that take effect now? Where not like getting the perk, but like if you're gonna akimbo, your offhand shot is without your bonuses.
I'm going to have a specific perk towards akimbo. I can explain how it works a little bit later, but it's in the brief explanation. Because you're rolling 2 times, you're rolling once to hit, and then you're rolling twice to hit, one with each gun. The perk is going to add a bonus to hit per level.
Okay. So do we get our standard bonus just normally?
You get the standard bonus on both weapons.
Okay. All right, cool. But yeah,
What did you roll?
natural 20 for initiative.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah.
All right. So, first up is the creature.
Not
Natural
surprised.
20.
What's he doing?
And it's got a higher agility than I do. Probably got it's either got a 9 or a 10 in its agility, or higher maybe.
So, the creature, from hearing where the shot came from, it is going to essentially hunter pounce on Nancy.
Oh, fun.
So that is an 18 to hit.
That's it, Nancy.
What?
What is your AC?
My AC is a
I'm pretty sure.
14.
It shouldn't be. No, your AC is a 17.
It says it's a 14.
You have 1 endurance. No. Oh, okay. So I updated the actual math, but no, your AC is 17.
Oh, I see. In the armor stuff, yeah.
Yes.
Got you. Thank you. So by 1 point, I have been taken down.
So, as this creature pounces towards Nancy, it, in almost a comical fashion, the skull of this creature just starts chattering, and you recognize it as the clicking sound it was making. Nancy, you are shoved and basically tackled to the ground as it raises up both of its hands to just start clawing away at you, and you take...
Wait, what did it roll for its attack?
18.
Oh, it rolled an 18. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You take 17 points of damage.
So that would be taken out of my resistance first, right?
Resistance first, and then your health.
Alright. So
So
zero
your
resistance.
is now 0, and you take 2 points of damage.
Mm-hmm.
So this creature
98
pounces
health.
on Nancy, and alarmingly quickly, it starts tearing into Nancy. And at first, you think your armor is going to hold up until you feel a very distinct sting on your skin as you realize it has torn partially through your armor.
Oh, fuck.
Lucas, you're
You
up.
got it. I'm going to go ahead and draw the energy pistol with my other hand now, and I'm going to take the first shot with my 9mm.
Okay.
Roll a natural 19 for a crit.
All right. And the other gun?
I'm going to roll damage for that. And the other gun, that is a total of 19.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to need more dice. Hold on. Okay. And I'll even do the fucking math for you.
All right.
Did both of those hit?
Both hit.
Okay. By the way, my fucking calculator is fucking up right now.
Well, what did you roll for damage on the first one?
4 dice I gotta roll. 50 damage for the first one.
Okay.
And then 6 damage for the energy pistol.
Okay.
And I'm going to use gun fu to hit him again with the 9mm.
Okay.
For a wonderful for an additional 34.
Okay. Nancy,
Yes.
from your perspective, you were just pounced and you are starting to have your flesh torn into very lightly by this creature, but you can tell it'll start tearing into you in mere seconds. When you hear, in rapid succession, 3 very quick gunshots,
5.
well, 5.
Oh, Jesus.
It's a full auto pistol.
Yeah.
Oh.
And in that split second, this creature gets the first 2 shots knock it off. The second shot bores in through its head. And the third shot just riddles its chest with bullets. And it slumps to the ground. Lucas, that is 4 XP.
Okay. I'm sorry, John.
Oh, it didn't have much health.
Okay.
Okay. Nancy's very taken. She is kind of hyperventilating.
Yeah.
And sitting up.
Yeah, I want to apologize to Mike and Marina. This was one of those instances where it was kill it dead fast.
No need to apologize. I'm very happy you killed it.
I'm going to say George. Is it safe to assume George can see Nancy kind of freaking out on the ground?
Oh, very clearly.
Yeah, George is going to kind of run over and just kind of pull her up and kind of hold her, just like, you're okay, calm down. You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
She kind of turns to George, very wide-eyed, still trying to catch her breath. I'm sorry. It was a stupid idea. I'm stupid. That was stupid. I'm sorry. And she starts crying.
You didn't do anything wrong, Nancy. It was either
Yes, I
you who...
did. Yes, I did. I told you to talk to it. And cry some more.
George just kind of like takes her out of the alleyway.
All right.
Wait, are you carrying me bridal style right now?
I mean, he's more just escorting you out of the alleyway.
Also, really, I need to point this out now because Marina brought it up. He can't carry you bridal style at the moment.
No.
Nope.
One hand.
More
One
arm
arm.
around the shoulder kind of thing.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I don't think Nancy's ready to stand yet. Just saying.
Alright, then he just sits with you.
Okay.
Lucas.
Which is a good boy.
Lucas is gonna head on over. He's gonna address Nancy, just make sure that she's at least starting to calm down. And I'm gonna just kind of say to her, "Good shot," and continue walking towards the creature.
All right.
Nancy looks confused, but seems to appreciate this.
So yeah. Do you want me to roll an intelligence to inspect it?
Are you doing just a quick glance over, or are you thoroughly looking?
I'm thoroughly looking into what the fuck this thing is.
All right. That would be perception.
Okay. I want this die. 17.
17. Okay. Getting a better look at this creature, its skull is very clearly, like, very dirty and very, like, almost black-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Its skin from the neck up is what seems to be holding its skull in place, and what seems to have operated the shattering.
Mm-hmm.
Its spine is very clearly out of its body, and when you almost have to like peel back a piece of the skin to get a better look at where the spine was. Inside of this creature, where its spine was, there is a fully metallic spine in there.
Okay.
And its arms are very lanky, and the hands are still there, but the fingers are just bone, like very, very sharp bone.
Mm.
And on closer inspection of the fingers, they seem to be, the tips of them appear to be sharpened by just whatever it's doing, whether it be tearing into something or walking around. But the rest of it, up to like the knuckles, appear to be very cleanly cut and very cleanly whittled down into a point.
Mm.
Is George also looking?
Mm-hmm.
Can he be like watching over Lucas's shoulder?
Well, you're coddling Nancy.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I forget. Sorry.
So at most you can be watching what he's doing out of the corner of your eye, but not
Yeah.
getting specifics.
Yep.
Its legs are fairly average for a ghoul,
Mm-hmm.
but the calf muscles appear to be slightly bigger than normal.
Okay. You said it's got a metal spine?
On the inside of it, yes.
I'm taking that.
What the fuck? Taking a cue from Steve? Oh, random body parts. Let me just collect those.
I mean, I'm absolutely doing a little bit of metagame, but also, like, in character, Lucas sees something interesting and out of the ordinary. I'm taking it.
Is it safe to say George watches you take a metallic spine out of this creature?
It depends, John. Am I rolling
So-
agility to harvest it properly?
Strength.
Strength. Good.
You
All
are
right.
ripping something's spine out.
Natural 19.
All right. George,
Mm-hmm.
you watch as Lucas very carefully looks over this creature, peels back its skin, looks inside where its spine should be.
And sees me Mortal Kombat rip it out.
You watch
Little
as he
careful.
fishes his arm in a little, shifts it around a little, seemingly trying to get a better grip of something, and with one fast yet very forceful pull, you hear a crunching sound as Lucas rips out a metal spine from this creature.
Does Nancy see this too?
Oh God,
Yes.
I heard stories about people using these things back out west.
George looks at Lucas. Man, I hate being right.
So obviously, Lucas doesn't know if this thing has any actual purpose. I'm sure, John, you already have an idea of what I'm thinking. What this thing is for?
Somewhat, yeah.
The big empty spine modification.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Nancy pukes a little.
That's fine. You just watch your party member rip the spine out of a dead creature.
George leers at Lucas.
What? You really think the bear was going to be the last time I did this?
No, you could have waited until the one who was traumatized wasn't here.
That's fine.
No, it's okay. It was gonna happen anyway. Eventually, I'll just break. Her eyes twitch. I'm
George,
waiting for the day.
George
My
just,
sanity just snaps.
George quietly, but not very quietly, says, "Man, I thought I was the asshole."
I mean, he saved my life. It's only fair.
It's only fair he should force you to watch someone's spine being ripped out. George kind of like pats Nancy on the shoulder. Okay, I'm gonna go examine the abomination. You stay right here. I'll be back in a moment.
Okay, Uncle George.
Spine in my inventory.
So George walks over. He kind of like takes a cursory glance at this creature. I'm assuming he can gather essentially what Lucas has gathered.
Fairly easily with a quick look over, not the specifics, but the general look of this creature.
Is it safe to say that George can, because he actively thought that it was a man-made creation? So can he like be actively searching for evidence to support that theory?
Roll perception.
Right?
Right. I'll be back in a few minutes. I'm gonna get some food heating up.
Whoop whoop.
Okay.
Natural 18.
All right. While looking over this creature, under your initial hunch of it being in whatever way man-made, you do notice that the fingers, aside from the fingertips, appear to be specifically whittled down by something very precise. Too precise for this creature to have done it to itself. The skull, upon closer inspection, what appears to be frayed wires is in where the throat should be, and it seems that the metallic spine was in some way connected to the skull. And currently, the calf muscles of this creature are still slightly pulsating.
George kind of calls up to Nancy. All right, you may want to look away. I'm going to do something gross.
Okay. She slowly she's hugging her knees at the moment, So she takes her feet and just kind of slowly maneuvers herself in the opposite direction, put her hands over her ears, staring into the distance.
Alright, George has rolled another natural 18 to crack this thing's skull like a walnut to look inside.
Alright. Are you just using your fist?
Yeah, he's just gonna he is a machine.
With a quick thunk on the very center and very top of the skull, it cracks open, and it basically just splits entirely down the middle, and both halves just slide off. And where the skull was, there's nothing there, but there is still a more clear view of the frayed wire and what appears to be a metal tube from where the throat is.
So what you're telling me is it didn't have a brain.
It did not.
George is going to actively just cannibalize this thing's body to gather anything electronic. Just
Anything electronic?
Oh yeah, George is entering. George is briefly snapping back to his years of dismantling fellow synths for intel.
All right.
Holy crap!
What's going on?
So I might have just rolled a nat 20 to do that.
All right. Just to catch you up, George cracked open this thing's skull like a walnut.
Like a
Those
walnut?
were the walnut.
Walnut. Got it.
I used those exact words.
There was nothing inside the skull. It just slid off, and there were frayed wires and a metal tube inside the throat, to where it seems like what frayed it was you ripping out its spine.
Mm-hmm.
George, you go full surgeon mode as your entire demeanor changes from not as joking and not as carefree, so to speak, to just business. As you get to work opening whatever you think might hold any kind of secrets, as you open up the throat of this creature, there is just one long metal pipe. It abruptly cuts off where the spine would be. It is a long iron pipe. Well, not long, but long enough to cover the entire throat. Iron pipe full of just frayed wires. The arms themselves, when you open those up to examine them, they just appear to be straight muscle, bone, and just blood. The chest appears to be... What?
Was the blood dry?
The blood was very wet.
So it's still... George is going to pause just very briefly during his autopsy. He's going to look at Lucas. We're going to need that spine as intact as you can keep it.
That's the plan. I want them to see if they can recreate it.
George looks at him. Well, perhaps having the intact machinery would have helped with that. And then returns to the autopsy.
Well, then see if you can get that out, if it's just a couple of frayed wires.
George sighs. Looks back at him one more time.
All right.
You ripped out a piece of it. Just ripped it out.
And get the rest of it. Reverse engineering isn't that hard.
You break it, you buy it, whatever this thing's worth. And George continues tearing it apart.
So, inside the chest and subsequently this brand new clear window from its spine, that is
I have no remorse.
completely hollowed out. There's no rib cage, there's no organs, there's nothing. It's just the spine.
George looks so very confused. Well, I mean, again, like you said, he's still very much business, but there is definitely an expression of just like
intrigue.
Just like he doesn't get it.
All right. With your perception roll, from what you see, or from where the spine was, there are 4 other frayed wires, very, like, almost hair thin, but because you're specifically looking, you're able to find the end of it and trace it back. One goes into the leg, another goes into the other leg, one goes into the arm, and the other into the other arm.
As expected, yeah.
When you opened up the arm, it is just muscle. There's muscle, blood, and bone. Both arms. When you open up the upper part of the leg, like where the thigh is, still just blood, muscle, and bone. When you open up the calf, that has since stopped pulsating. When you open up the calf, you see what appears to be almost like a spring engine in both calves.
Okay.
That looks pretty cool.
I wouldn't use the word cool.
Interesting.
Nancy,
Yes.
I want you to make a constitution save. Jesus.
Constellation suit.
Constellation style.
Give me a constellation save.
Yep. I see.
I am a wee
Succeed or
brother.
become succeed or be consumed by the other gods.
Oh, Jesus. I'm just making sure I don't have any. Oh, Constitution isn't a thing, is it?
Nope. Just a straight roll.
And it's a 14.
14. You are holding it together fairly well after
Yay!
you've thrown up once, but you hear a lot of squelching coming from behind you. George, going back to the creature, there is nothing in the foot, and it appears to be just average and ordinary. What would you like to do about the spring engines?
Oh boy. George is going to kind of calmly survey. So by this point, he is more or less he's seen the inner workings of this creature.
Fairly. Also, Marina, mute yourself.
Yeah. What? Mute myself?
You're making a lot of background noise.
Oh, I apologize.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not fixing. Well, no.
Just don't forget that you muted yourself, like last time.
What? No, just kidding.
Alright. George kind of surveys this creature, and he's just in the deepest of thought. And his expression is just souring more with every moment.
Alright.
He just kind of calmly, he almost tries to sort of not necessarily put it back together, but basically get it into a state where he can move it.
Okay. Are you going to try and close the wounds that you opened?
Vaguely. Not very well, but enough so that it can be seen where he... Yeah. What would I have to roll for that?
You don't have anything to hold it together, do you?
No. Alright, yeah, George. Never mind. George just kind of like gets it in the best state he can.
Okay.
And just kind of starts heading back over to the garage.
Are you carrying it?
Yes.
Rolls for strength with disadvantage.
Because no arm. That is a flat 19. And that is another
John,
flat 19.
I was going to ask, but it seems like you rolled fine. I was going to ask if I could be of assistance in this autopsy.
I mean, George.
I am standing by at the moment.
Flat 19s regardless, George. But allow you to help.
Alright. So, Lucas, seeing George not really struggle, but more of uncomfortably pick up this creature with one arm, you give your assistance where you can, and you both fairly easily carry this creature back to the garage. Nancy, are you following?
Forgot it was me.
Yeah, I knew it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
It hurts, man. But yes, I am
Sorry.
following.
Okay.
I think I got it together for the most part.
Alright. George is going to be silent until they are in the garage.
Alright. Which one of you is opening the garage door? Probably Nancy.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. So Nancy pulls open the garage door, and lets both you, George, and Lucas inside. Truffles and both of the Brahmin look pretty alarmed that you just opened the door.
Before we're coming back, Michael, did you grab that other component that was part of the spine, or?
He kept everything.
Okay,
You
so we have.
You are the only mitigating factor here.
I mean, we still have all the components, Michael.
You have the body.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what you're carrying.
Oh!
We are just carrying the body. George didn't
Okay.
remove any of the other components. He tried to keep it
Well,
as intact as possible.
I obviously missed the sentence there.
But yes, you are. That is what you are carrying. You're carrying the entire body as best and carefully as you can back to the garage, so nothing like spills out.
Mm-hmm.
George.
Well, I was just going to ask, what would you like to do with it now?
George is going to sort of calmly kind of lay it out in the smaller cart as best as he can.
Okay.
And then he's going...
use out of that cart, huh?
Yeah. He also just doesn't want it to be near anyone. But yeah, George does this, and then he kind of turns to Nancy and Lucas. Okay. Where to begin? So this thing reeks of the helmets.
Of the what?
George kind of sighs. The helmets. You remember the
Oh.
helmets?
I misheard you as a player.
Oh, okay.
I thought you said the trail mix, and I got so confused.
He reeks.
trail mix.
I was like, trail
I cracked it open. Nothing but pretzels. Pretzels all the way.
Nothing but
Some-
those damnable wafers.
Wafer's the best part. Anyway.
Some cashews.
Yeah. Not bad. Either way.
That's
All right.
funny.
Levity. There won't be much of that. George looks at Nancy and Lucas. So whatever this thing is, it is A, produced, and B, exceptionally macabre.
What's macabre?
As in, macabre, and he looks at, specifically at Nancy, means that whoever did this is really, really morally bankrupt. They're willing to do terrible. They are willing to do terrible, horrible things.
I mean,
in the name of... And George kind of looks at the creature. Honestly, not that much efficiency.
So,
and,
are you saying it was... If you're saying it's not much efficiency, then it was probably a rush job.
No. He looks at her.
No?
No, this is the minimal resources. You see, think of it from this standpoint. What I'm looking at right here is someone's attempt to make an incredibly cheap protection device. Cheap. And if you lack a moral compass, what's cheaper than humans?
Oh.
Ghouls.
And who do we... Honestly, ghouls are less common. What I'm saying is, this thing, whatever the fuck its purpose really was, it was made, presumably, as some kind of scout. And again, judging by the resource...
Oh, goody.
And we already know...
Get mauled again.
And we already know a group of exceptionally macabre individuals who are totally fine doing horrific things in the name of science and progress, who are taking lots and lots of humans. So we know there's a supply, and we know there's a demand.
So, with this in mind, and you guys know the waste better than I do, do you guys have any idea who might have done this?
Probably the things that sent the stalkers after us.
George kind of looks at both of you. Ah, I think we already kind of knew that much.
Yeah.
But none of us have a name or a face or an actual organization to link them to.
That is very true.
Wait a minute. I just thought of something. If it was here, in this town, and as George says, this was probably the cheapest way to make something to protect something, what's in
He didn't
town?
say that. He didn't necessarily say that.
I sort of did.
George, if you mind, allow me to put my 2 cents in. If this thing, like you say, George, is a scout, why on earth would they put scouts, the first line of scouts that we've seen, so far, so close to whatever they're protecting? Why wouldn't they have these very, like George pointed out, these very cheaply made, basically, one of the fastest things, one of the cheapest things that they could probably construct. Why would they have this be what's protecting the final line of defense against whatever they're trying to hide? And
George backs off.
One more thing. If their scouts, and I do like air quotes, if their scouts are this thing, then like we've all, I assume, come to a agreement, these are made by whatever group was making the stalkers. I don't think we should go any further into the waste. Nancy, I know you think without any actual information that Bella is in that naval base. I have very little belief that she is there.
George kind of looks somewhat confused at Lucas.
With all respect, Lucas, we do have some evidence that would point to her being there, right, George?
George looks at both of you. At no point did we think she was at the naval base. We were going to the naval base to acquire a submarine to go to where we thought she was.
Yes.
Regardless, I don't think it's a good idea at this moment.
George kind of looks at the body. Well, we kind of need to know how this thing operates.
I would prefer not to have my skull sliced in twain by a single motion, like those dogs.
That would be preferable, yes. George kind of looks at Nancy. For now, I kind of agree with Lucas. We don't know how many of these things there are, but we know that they're here. We haven't seen them further back toward the Arkwing, so I say we call retreat for now and figure out how the hell this thing functions.
It is at this moment, all three of you, as you are deep in your conversation, you hear from the garage door, why don't you just ask who made it?
What voice is that?
A female voice.
Nancy whips around.
Both guns are trained on the door, and I'm... Both guns are trained on the door, with at the ready if something happens.
George steps forward, head hung low.
Who wants to ask?
Howdy.
Oh, sorry.
Have we met?
No, we haven't met, but seeing as you kinda broke one of my toys, I kinda want it back.
Why'd you make it in the first place?
I was bored.
Okay. George looks up at her.
I'm pretty sure the door is closed at the moment. We're not actually seeing her.
Are we?
You're hearing her from the other side of the door.
Okay.
And why should we give it back to you if it's just going to maul somebody again?
I never said you were giving it to me. I'm taking it.
By force, I assume?
You're exactly who I think you are.
Probably, yeah.
And you're not alone out there.
Not really, no.
I holster the guns.
Okay.
Is this about the meeting I requested?
Meeting? What meeting?
So that's not you. Don't worry, I'm just trying to connect the dots in this fucked up world of ours.
What's your name?
Oh, like she'll tell us.
You never know. She says she was bored.
I'm gonna grab the creature's arm and start pulling it towards the door. And I'm gonna...
Whoa, wait a minute. Let's think about this for a second.
How about we at least bring it closer so that when they open the door, because whether or not we open the door is irrelevant. If we don't, they're gonna force their way in.
You hear from the other side. So there is a smart one among you.
Yes, that's true, but what if they're just gonna kill us anyway?
They would have done so.
You say that. They've tried before. Either way, we don't stand to really gain anything from dying here now in this garage with some cows and a dog.
Again, I continue pulling the body up towards the door, and I put the metal spine on top of it.
All right, friend, how'd you like to do this? Shall we just open the door and toss the cadaver out to you?
Well, I would prefer not tossing, but yes, opening the door is a start.
So be it. I'm opening the door. George opens the door.
Okay. When you open the door, the first thing you see is the striking appearance of this young woman. She is the only person out there.
Mm-hmm.
She is in a full metallic combat armor, which seems part robotic, part just body armor. The thing that really catches your eye is on top of that is a lab coat. And she just has her hands in her pockets as she's standing there waiting for you to open the door. And she has very long and very straight black hair. She does have a scarf around her neck, a very black and shoulder-length scarf. Not too long, but, enough to drape over. You only have a split second to get a good look at this woman before you notice the 5 fully robotic dogs around her.
George just kind of looks at her, he's not showing any direct emotions.
All right.
Are you going to take the body or what?
Oh, I'm not touching that. She snaps her fingers and 2 of the dogs walk over.
This will be interesting.
She snaps her finger again, and they lift up the body of the creature, and the metal spine falls off. And she looks surprised as she hears it clatter to the ground, and she looks up at you. You tore out its spine?
Someone was feeling adventurous.
Also, do you see the muscles on these guys?
Why would you need a spine?
Why not?
As I said, he was feeling adventurous.
You just increased my workload by about a day.
Well, you also almost killed me, so I guess we're fair.
Irrelevant.
Yeah, human lives real irrelevant.
They are.
Lives,
They're of no
period.
consequence.
We should know, right? Us fellow non-humans.
Well, I would say yes, but I feel like you're baiting me.
I don't have to. I've already made every assumption I need to make.
Well, unless there's anything else, I'll be taking this and the spine.
Mm-hmm.
And she gives you a quick little bow. I will see you later.
Beat me to it. I was going to say the same thing.
Before she
Nancy
turns
just kind
around,
of glares.
turns around, she walks straight up to George and gives you a very emotionless glare.
If you're going to mention the girl I shot, don't bother. I don't care anymore.
What I care about is you constantly being rude after you broke my toy.
Sorry. He smiles.
Her emotionless gaze is completely overtaken by a very happy and perky smile. Thank you! And she turns around and starts walking away.
Catch you later. I'm gonna say George closes the elevator door. Elevator. You know what I mean? Garage. Yeah.
Okay.
George does this, and then looks at Nancy, and he looks at Lucas. Get in the carts. We are going home.
Yeah. Maybe you are. Nancy just sits in the corner. I don't see the point in going back when they're not going to help me find my sister in the first place. We don't even have that thing to get any information about what we're... I can't... Every day is another day I'm not going to see her, or another day that she could possibly have died, and I have done nothing but walk around and try to help other people and mess up all the time. I don't see the point in going back when it's just going to be another loop.
George is just staring and listening.
You guys go back. This is my problem. I don't have to be another one of your problems that you have to fix.
Nancy? If anyone is going to march into death with you, it would be me. Granted, my preference is not marching you into death. If you are hell-bent on suicide, then so be it. But you are going to listen to me for once. When I say, if we persist, we are walking into the clutches of something that about 70 Brotherhood paladins with the best equipment, and know how little respect I have for Brotherhood paladins, and yet I'm still using them as a measure of skill and talent.
Yeah, that's not really a good example, but I know what you're saying.
They opened fire on 3 of them. 3! And none of them so much as looked winded. We are marching into the clutches of the person who makes them.
I get it. I feel stuck. I feel like once we get back there with nothing less than a few caps and no evidence of what we've done or discovered, we're not going to get anywhere with the Brotherhood, and they're not going to help us. And I know Timothy's certainly not going to help me. I don't know where we're going to go from here.
Timothy told us that him and the Brotherhood scientists were researching to find out more about what we needed to do. And, for what it's worth, they've actually done quite a lot for us.
They have, but I feel like...
And when they offer us a deadline and tell us, hey, give me until now before I have information, it's a little rude of us to say, no, that's not enough, and then say they weren't helping us at all.
Can you blame me for being frustrated?
No. If anyone gets unreasonably frustrated, it's me. But for once, I'm not the one doing it, so apparently I'm the voice of reason. As much as I hate uttering these words, even now, we have to give the Brotherhood a chance. We've learned something, whether we can prove it or not. We've seen the one responsible. That's something, isn't it?
I
No,
guess
we
so.
can't.
No.
Alright. We'll go back. And I don't know.
George kind of puts his hand on Nancy's shoulder. Know that I am, whilst not as unhappy as you are, almost as unhappy as you are. I want nothing more than to, and he pauses, collect on my...
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So, what I was trying to say, and then I inevitably figured out they just can't hear me, they're not ignoring me, is, I know you're frustrated, Nancy. Believe me, if any of us know anything about loss, it's me and George at this point. We've lost. Both of us have lost a lot. I may be bitter, but I had people I cared about that are no longer living. A lot of them were killed. George had a lot of people he really cared for. A lot of them were killed. I get you want to find your sister. I understand that. Okay, Nancy? We'll do our best, but we are not powerful enough to go to this base. We do not have the manpower or the firepower to accomplish what we initially came out here for this trip to do. Like George said, if we continue, it's a death march. And the Brotherhood have done a lot for us, whether we want to believe it or not.
During all of this, Nancy has been kind of silently crying, just tears kind of coming down her face, and she is taking in what each of you are saying. And after all of this, she kind of smiles, sniffs, wiping her eyes a bit. I don't know why you two are so insistent on helping an idiot like me. But I know one thing for sure, and that is that I am lucky to have you both.
George kind of smiles faintly at Nancy, just kind of like sits next to her. Now, if I'm being honest, with all the effort I put into looking all tough and wise, it's important to remember there was a time that I was a confused vacuum salesman crawling out of a dumpster in a war zone. Frankly, the only one of us who might not have had an idiot phase was Lucas. He actually had military training before his unpleasant occurrence. You and I, we didn't get that chance. You'll learn and you'll grow. And you'll only succeed in doing that if you live.
Okay.
We're shipping out as soon as we can.
What was that? Sorry.
Shipping
I
out as
honestly.
soon as we can.
Yeah.
Get on the... Honestly, George kind of looks at both of them. Does anyone have any manner of rope?
Hold on. Let me check my inventory.
I do not. I mean, it's a garage. John, can I look for chains?
Chains would do.
Yes, you can. And you don't really need to roll perception.
Okay, cool.
The thing to open and close the garage door are chains.
All right, yeah, then I just kind of like to point those out and ask for a little help from the two of you to get them down.
Yeah, George helps.
Nancy helps as well.
All right.
We'll get farther faster if both of them are pulling. That's a good idea, George.
I didn't have to explain it.
So, after a brief moment of cooperation and teamwork, a rarity in these parts, you're able to get down a fairly long amount of chain from the garage door. What specifically would you like to do with it?
We are connecting the two carts.
We're going to be having both Brahmin. I mean, the first cart is technically big enough for all of us, so why don't we just hook both Biggie and Hanks up to the one cart, and that'll be even less weight they need to carry.
I paid money for the cart.
Then get the scrap metal off the cart.
It's just wood. It's a straight wooden cart. Also, where would we put it?
All right, fine. Hook them both up.
On the other card.
You did pay for it. I'm not about to take your money away from you.
Also, I never know when we'll need carts.
All right, sure. Hell, maybe we can use them to send out our own caravans. If we ever get that big.
We might. I mean, we have a town. I feel like caravans typically come before having a town.
I have a question for you, George. And I think
boy.
Lucas deserves to know the answer as well. Are you ready, Lucas? Are you ready for this information?
I'm scared.
Not particularly.
Lucas? George. Our good old pal, buddy old chum George.
Man, you're really starting to make this sound like it. Okay.
He
What'd
is
you
a
say?
mayor.
Yeah.
A mayor, of a town. The people of the town surrounding the Brotherhood is calling him mayor. I do not understand. How did this come to be, George? Explain yourself.
I just want to make sure.
I'm going to look to George. Hold on. I'm going to look to you, George, and I'm going to look to Nancy. I'm going to kind of say, looking in between you, I'm not looking at either of you at this moment. Yeah, he's a mayor. It's it's not a good thing in the Wastelands. Makes you a target. More than we already are.
I'm
Look what
already a
you've done.
target.
Again, more than we already are.
Also, I was going to ask, was this General Lucas apathy, or did you forget that Lucas didn't know?
Didn't
Just
know
for
what?
clarity.
I don't
No,
think
that
Lucas
George
ever
had been-
knew.
I mean,
No, he didn't.
Lucas put two and two together.
Okay. Whatever.
But
Yeah.
how did you become a mayor, George? Explain!
Well, you see, they were having a bonfire, and I threw a bunch of crab meat on it, and I gave a mediocre speech at best.
Anyways, can we hook these Brahmin up and get out of here before she sends more?
George is already doing it. One arm.
Guys, I guess I'll hear more about the mayor story later on the way
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
That
Can we
was
get
the
out of
story.
here? Can we head home, please?
Yes, let's.
Okay. So you're going to open the garage door to leave?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'll hold the door open as we pull the carts out.
Okay. It's fairly easy to attach the smaller cart to the bigger cart. Do you want the smaller one in front or in back?
I'm back.
In back.
Okay. It's also a fairly simple thing to attach both Brahmin to the bigger one. It would have been a tight squeeze if they were both the same size.
But we got Biggie.
But they're not. And as soon as you open the garage door, you see a wooden table outside. Like a small,
Okay.
I guess, desk lamp table.
Is there anything on the table?
There is a holotape.
I'm gonna pick up that holotape and is it canon that the holotapes just have a button that you can press and play, or do we need the Pit Boy to play it?
Pit Boy.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of head over to Nancy and I'm gonna ask her, hey, hand me hold your arm up for the Pit Boy for a moment.
Okay. Why?
I open the tape deck, put in the holotape, and shut it, and hit play.
Ooh, what's that?
Yeah, you wouldn't know about that, would you? Okay. After a brief pause of you hearing the tape whir up, you hear the familiar voice of the woman who essentially just took the carcass from you. Hey, so I know you're mad, but I would like to at least welcome you to what amounts to the beginning of the end. So, if you want to come find me, I put a blip on your little map, and, well, I'll be waiting. And the tape cuts off.
Where is it on the map, John?
It is the naval base.
Okay. I'm gonna look to George and Nancy. If we go back to the Brotherhood and we tell them, hey, it's guaranteed that our enemy is there. One, they're probably gonna be watching us this entire trip. So they're gonna know if we go back.
I'm pretty sure they already know we are going back.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Do we take this as a true open invitation to find her?
George kind of sighs. I've played with crazy before. I think this is legitimate. I think she actively has a rather impressive and also probably rather simple trap laid out for us that we're just going to have no other choice but to walk calmly into. And she absolutely expected to kill us.
Wait a minute. Do we really not have a choice? I thought y'all were just advocating that we head back.
Oh, we are. I'm saying when we eventually go there.
Oh,
she said.
Okay, that makes
said,
more sense.
Yeah.
I was about to say, y'all just talked about suicide and stuff.
As she said, she's waiting for us.
Yeah.
So we can go and we can prepare. But at the end of the day, she's clearly better armed than we are.
Mm-hmm.
So she's bored and she wants to play with us.
Well, she also just said she's trying to usher in the end times, which, and George kind of looks around the surrounding environment. Frankly, I think the world beat her to that, but...
She's about 200 years late.
A
little more.
Well, you know, you gotta have goals.
Well, let's head back to the settlement.
We march. Nancy, get in the small cart.
Wait, real quick question, gentlemen.
Mm.
Yes.
What is the doohickey you put in my arm, and can I replay it for Timothy?
Yes, you can replay it. Presumably.
Boy, and yes. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
No, she's talking about the holotape.
Oh. Yes.
Oh, it's called the holotape. How does it work?
You watch me do it.
Yeah, but like, I want to make a holotape.
Fuck if I know.
You would need a device that can. Okay, so and George very quickly kind of like
We're
pulls her
marching. You
aside.
can explain on the road. You can explain
Fine.
on the road. We're moving.
Fine, George gets in the small cart with her, and this just kind of explains the general gist, which I won't even do this in the George voice or the George. George basically explains to Nancy, hey, in order to make a holotape, you A, need a blank holotape, and B, need a holotape writer.
Ah, a lot of things I don't have.
Yep.
Where can I
They
get them?
Well, in all honesty, the Brotherhood probably has some.
Cool, I want them. How much
They probably
do you think
won't. I have a feeling they won't sell them, but, you know.
Why wouldn't they sell them?
Because they're probably extremely rare and hard to maintain.
Oh,
And the Brotherhood is a bit attached to their technology.
this is also true.
That was my meme for the night. I saw it. I was like, I must share it.
I didn't even have to read it to know what it said. It's like, no, I get it. Marina, it's a reference to GTA San Andreas.
Mm-hmm.
Where that guy, you have to sit through a cutscene where that guy orders that exact sequence of things at a drive-through menu.
For himself. Not anyone
For
else.
himself.
Just him.
Just him.
Yep.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah. So we're on the road again.
On the road again.
Just can't wait to get fucking attacked again.
Yeah, wait to get fucking attacked again.
Gonna get shot in the head.
We're going places where we're gonna get shot at too.
Yep.
Gonna get mauled again.
Gonna
get mauled again.
Ow! That's not the line. Gonna use some laser pistols, turn some dudes to goo.
George.
Wait, is this an Apple song somewhere?
No.
Yeah. George actively rejects both of you. And I would walk 100 miles.
We've only gone about 80, George.
And
George, if you want to walk, go for it, but I mean, we have parts.
But I'd rather ride this cow. It's easy. Okay, that was a stretch. Moving on.
I mean, George, I didn't know you were into zoophilia.
George.
Also, are you calling the George a slut?
George leers at Lucas.
So,
Sin.
Nancy, you
Yes.
specifically, a wave of exhaustion just tumbles into you.
Oh, fun.
With the day you've had, it is very tiring.
Oh, yeah.
It is very clearly nighttime right now. I'd say about 11:30-ish. And you're still going back to the Archway?
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna take 2 swigs from my fucking flask.
Alright.
So, Nancy can't sleep on this trip, I'm assuming.
She absolutely can. The carts are connected.
Oh, okay. Nancy's gonna shout, "Alright, y'all, I'm taking a nap."
George just kind of looks at her. I mean, you both can if you want.
Don't die while I'm asleep. That'd be
I'm trying
rude.
not to.
So, Nancy, you're falling asleep?
Yeah.
Lucas, what are you doing?
What do I have anything I can fiddle with in my inventory?
Fiddle.
Not really. I'll stay up for a bit and then I'll go to bed.
Okay.
I'll just lie on the cart.
Another 10 for you, by the way.
For the rads? Oh, I already did that. Don't worry.
Okay.
I'm keeping tabs of it.
George, what would you like to do?
George stares blankly into the inky darkness, trapped in his own thoughts. A mixture of fear and is just incomprehensible rage.
Now, I don't know why,
Mm,
but when you said George stares into the inky darkness, I had this vivid image of George on a cart staring up at the stars, and waving and staring back at him was Ronald McDonald.
George lowers his head, feeling he has seen enough.
Oh, God.
I want art of this now.
I have no idea why.
I want this to be like the highest quality piece. Like the stars are beautiful, and then there's this Ronald McDonald just photoshopped in.
Slightly faded out. Wait.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
It's the
God.
most rudimentary GIF you've ever seen. Like his hand isn't even like it's just like it's severed and just rotating independently. It's just but yes.
That's
George.
amazing, John. I approve.
Yeah, but yeah, in essence, George is just absolutely fucking devoured by his desire to kill and his inability to do so.
Okay.
Gentlemen, real quick question. How late do we want to go to tonight?
I'm
Depends.
indifferent.
John, are we about to be assailed by bandits and hooligans?
Well.
Can we
If
just keep
you-
it as hooligans?
I was gonna say. I mean, I was just gonna give you ice cream and happy time.
Ruffians and rapscallions.
Is that what we call this version of D&D?
Yes.
R&R.
This is anything but.
New.
Fallout and fuckheads?
Oh my God. Please.
No, Fallout and dumbasses.
Oh.
Has to be with the F.
I don't know.
What about
let
Vaults
me-
and Death Claws?
Well, now I'm trying to think of one that's
That makes the most logical sense coming from a naming convention.
VND. It kind of works too. I can live with that. VND.
Barrels and death claws and bears. Oh my.
Oh god, run.
So it never answered how late we're going.
I mean, Marina, how late can you go?
I do have work tomorrow, so I would like to go to bed at a fairly reasonable time. I
Got
would
it,
say
2:30.
2:30 is my limit.
2:30? Got it. Legitimately,
All of my friends are vampires.
Let's say 10 or 10:30. Did that work for you?
That sounds beautiful.
We'll see what's going on at 10.
We'll see if that actually happens.
Well, that's why I'm saying 10, and then if we need to, we leave ourselves that room.
The John is laughing. I don't like it.
Repent your sins.
So, are you just going to keep moving the Brahmin throughout the night?
Yep. George, I will say
Mm.
George somehow finagles his way to the front so he can actually steer the cart after getting over his existential crisis.
The Brahmin were walking all day the day before, and they didn't really get much time to sleep. I don't think they slept at all because, explosions.
They slept like babies, actually.
I don't know if he's lying.
None of you saw them. You don't know.
Did they look tired?
How long would you say we've been riding for, John?
We left. You left about 6 at night, I think.
Okay.
Traveled for a few hours.
Since it's a cart, is it fair to say that Lucas probably woke up at some point and saw we were still moving?
I didn't even know you went to bed.
I said I did. I said I was going to stay up for a little bit and I was going to lie down.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'd say about 2 hours went by.
Okay. I'm going to just kind of like sit myself up, crack the like 17 knots in my back.
Crack the entire vertebrae.
George spins in place and points the gun at you.
Do you do this?
Yes. He's been sitting completely still in silence for hours, and suddenly he hears 17 snapping sounds from behind him.
You spit on your heel, you aim your gun, and you just see Lucas with his hand going through the little bit of hair he has, and you just see him like look at you.
George.
Why the fuck did I have a dream about a fast food establishment from the 2000s?
George looks at Lucas for a moment, just nods disapprovingly, and returns to sitting.
You know, we should probably let the Brahmin actually sleep.
Alright.
Let's get to the 50-mile mark. That way, if we need quick evac, we can get it.
Do we have a means of knowing if we're at the 50-mile mark? Because Nancy's the only one with a
fuck up.
Nah, Jesus.
Jesus,
check your
can I
map.
save us now?
Map. Where's the map? And she's looking everywhere but the Pip-Boy.
Look on your fucking wrist. Check the map, see how far out we are from the 50-mile mark I placed.
She's looking at her actual wrist, not the Pip-Boy.
I stand up and I hop off the cart and kind of trail back next to her. I kind of motion to your fucking wrist.
No, I don't want to. What if you heard? Oh, you want the Pip-Boy. You could have just said the Pip-Boy.
Jesus Christ.
George laughs.
How far off are we, John, from the 50-mile mark? If we've been traveling for 2 hours at a steady pace?
You're about 15 miles.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and make a note of that. I'm gonna do some quick maths and say to George, we gotta go this much further for this much longer. Does your brain have a clock in it? I'm tired.
Does it? Do we just...
No, it doesn't.
We can't just, for comedy's sake, say that George has an exceptionally accurate clock. Well, if you're wondering, it is currently 2:45 p.m., 33 seconds, 34 seconds, 35 seconds. Can we please, John, let me have this. It's not something, it's never been discussed in Fallout.
Considering I have been saying specific times.
Come on.
It's something so small and stupid that we'll probably never utilize it functionally.
Flash forward like a year later and you kill the final boss with it.
Yep.
What's George's acute sense of timing?
Fine.
Yay!
Yeah.
George looks at Luke. What time is it specifically?
Right
It's probably shortly after 8.
What?
You said we left at 6, right?
You left the Arkwing at 6.
Oh, I thought we left the city at...
No. You left there at 11:30.
Okay. To be fair, we weren't in the town long. So how long did we ride to get to the town?
We got there at like 11:30.
Okay, so
no, you got there
like 5 hours.
5 hours to get there. You got there at 11, and it took a half an hour for you to do everything.
All right, so the Brahmin have only technically been active for 5.5 hours.
Alright. If they start slowing down, though.
So you're just gonna keep on moving?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say I pull out the fucking whiskey bottle and I just kind of mumble under my breath, well, this ain't getting open today.
Is anyone keeping watch of your surroundings?
I'm assuming that's all George
went back to sleep.
I'll say I stay up for a bit longer and I'll keep up. I'll help watch.
Okay.
Natural 18.
George, perception.
Okay. That is a natural 19.
All right. As you are riding on the I was going to call it a caravan.
Nope.
As you're riding on the carts and watching your surroundings, there's nothing behind you, nothing to the side of you, nothing to both sides of you. Ahead of you, there is what appears to be a campfire. In the distance, about a 20-minute walk towards it. You see the faint light of what you think is a campfire.
Mm-hmm.
Can I?
They could be merchants, could be bandits.
Could be bandits masquerading as merchants.
In which case they'll get...
Or merchants masquerading as bandits.
That would be a very ineffective sales plan.
If they happen to be bandits masquerading as merchants, well, then I guess we're just going to have to sell them plenty of lead.
Give me all your money in exchange for goods and services. George actually says that. And he's just kind of, I'm going to say George sort of very calmly just maneuvers the carts over near the campfire. Not like at the campfire, but close enough that they should be readily visible if there's anyone conscious at the campfire.
Okay. So you're at least going a distance away?
Yeah. Enough that they have time to actually, approach.
Okay. From what you can see from this distance, there is a campfire going. There is one person currently standing up, stroking the fire. There are two tents, one on the left and one on the right. In the middle of the tents, there is a sleeping pack Brahmin. And there is a kind of bigger tent, but it appears to be guarded by a very tired-looking man.
Well, so George, one of us, do you think they'd be less likely to shoot on sight a synth that they could assume is from the Institute, or a ghoul that's heavily armed?
The Institute was 20 years ago in another state.
I mean, regardless, I'm pretty sure robots aren't. Take up to you. Which one you want to? Which of us do you want to put in the line of fire if they happen to open fire on us?
Did you wake Nancy?
Nope.
Nope, I'm still sleeping.
I'm gonna say George. I'm gonna say George gently elbows Nancy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, we came up on an encampment. We're gonna go say hi. If you'd like to come, or you can sleep, I guess.
Nancy kind of looks at George, still very groggy, looks him dead in the eye, like she's trying to figure out who he is, and just says, Snuffles? And tilts her head. And then she wipes her eyes again. Oh, George, alright. I'm old and cute. Okay, what are we doing?
George kind of gestures over to the campfire. I think we've come up on some merchants or travelers. We're gonna go say hi.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'll come with.
Alright. George kinda... I'm gonna say George kinda gently hops out of the cart and sort of saunters over.
Yeah, I'm staying by it. I'm staying with him.
Okay. Nancy, what are you doing?
I'm staying with him too.
Okay.
Very much still waking up, yawning into her hands.
George is gonna kind of like try to walk into the man's field of vision so that he doesn't inadvertently sneak up on him.
Which one? The one by the fire or the one guarding the bigger tent?
I'm gonna say the one by the fire.
You would have to walk on the opposite side of him.
Okay.
He has his back towards you as he's stroking the fire.
Alright, I'll say once George is relatively close, he's just gonna announce, Howdy! Don't put in the, my brain is tired. He goes out like, Howdy! I'm George. Just, saying hi. Boy.
Man, you see him flinch, draw his pistol, and immediately whip around.
Our weapons aren't drawn, buddy.
Nope.
He takes a quick second to look over all three of you. He looks intently at George, and then slowly puts his pistol away. You can never be too careful.
That's understandable.
There was a time, 20 or so years ago, my kind would, well, not be very talkative. So I understand some trepidation. Like I said, I'm just saying hi. And he kind of gestures to the Brahmin. We were passing by, we saw a campfire, so we figured we'd, I don't know, see if you were merchants.
Well, yes, we are, but you are a very well-spoken robot.
Yeah, that's, yeah. I was a merchant for a while, not that many people trade with me. But I had
things for sale.
I have some things, yeah.
He looks over at the guard who is kind of half asleep, and he snorts to himself. Some guard you are.
Hey, a question for you.
Yes.
We've got a settlement. Do you have your own trade route that you run regularly? Or do you just kind of wander?
He sighs to himself. Well, we did have a caravan trail we followed, but one thing led to another, and we had to leave fairly quickly.
I'm gonna say George kind of approaches. Well, as it turns out, we have a settlement. If you are looking for somewhere to set up shop. And George kind of extends his hand. Mayor George, it says.
He looks at your hand and then looks at you.
Yeah, I'm mostly doing that for the shock value, but it is true.
You're the mayor?
Largely superficial title, but yes.
Also, to be fair, we just learned about this recently, and she gestures to Lucas and herself. Not quite sure how it happened. Something about a bonfire and speech. But yeah, he's a mayor now.
Either way, the point I'm trying to make is I'm offering to give you free harbor if you're willing to help the economy in town.
He takes a step back and looks at you very cautiously and with a almost grand gesture waves his arm around pretty much to everything. Why is a mayor out here?
We're a little more active in the community than some other politicians.
I'm gonna say George kind of walks up, relatively next to him, but he's kind of looking into the fire. You got the missing people? People being snatched out of their beds, just like the Institute used to do.
He gives you a quick, like a very quick glare, but then turns to look at the fire. Yes, I heard about that.
Yeah, well, we know, saying we know what did it is perhaps a bit of a stretch. We've seen them, and we have a general idea where they are. So we were trying to go deal with it. But we were, and he kind of lowers his head, unprepared. So we've turned tail and are currently returning back to our roost.
He turns towards you with your best guess is a blind fury in his eyes. Where?
George kind of superfluously cracks his neck. Well, I could give you a general direction, but if you look to our human companion over there, she actually has the directions on a Pip-Boy. However, and he kind of like lifts his hand, as you will learn from talking to her, she probably has as much reason to want them dead as you do, and, well, trust me, it won't end well.
Nancy turns to the gentleman, and in addition, if there's anything I learned tonight from these two, it's that you can't kill somebody if you're already dead.
He gives all of you a very hate-filled and spiteful look. And you can't save anyone when you don't even try. Tell me where it is.
We already fought against some of them before.
George looks at the man.
We don't have the firepower. And certainly neither do.
George kind of looks at him. Look. George kind of looks at him. Look, I'm not going to tell you can't go. Like I said, we'll give you the directions. I'm trying to tell you, going there right now is a death wish. And he kind of takes a step further. However, our town is currently shackled up with a group of, a sect of brotherhood that have been kicked out for being just a little too empathetic. We're working to deal with this problem. We thought maybe we could get the jump on them. That didn't work. So we're getting bigger guns, more explosives, and more people. So if you'd like to help with that, you could come to the town and we could all confer with what we know and come up with a plan. And as I...
He grabs George by what he thought was clothing at first. Like your skin. But then he just grabs your coat, which is which is a tangible coat.
Mm-hmm.
If you can point me in the right direction, I'm getting my children back.
It's kids then. George kind of lowers his head. I know how you feel. You want to march? March. She'll tell you where to go. I'm not going to try and stop you. And George kind of points to the hole in his head, or what's remains of the hole in his head. Just that. Be careful.
He looks over to Nancy.
I take it there's nothing I can do to persuade you to stop, even if I told you I had a very similar situation?
Unless you give me my 5 children back, no.
What if I told you I'd die to try? Because I'm trying to get my sister and my entire family. In a sense.
Well, I'd offer for you to come with me, but I doubt that's happening.
She looks to Lucas and George. I think a second ago I would have said yes, but these two don't want to seem to leave me behind. And they seem to have faith that we'll actually get things done, and we'll actually be able to successfully get the people we love back without dying in the process.
George,
so if you want to live to be with your kids, I'd say join us. But if you want to die trying to get them now ill-prepared, be my guest.
The man looks at you very harshly. If I wanted your opinion, I would have asked. Tell me.
Alright. And she shows it to him on the Pip-Boy.
As he's looking at the map, he breaks into a very small but hateful smile. And he mutters under his breath, "Good."
Have fun, Doc.
Say George is just kind of staring into the fire. So are you gonna make any kinds of preparation, or are you just marching off into the darkness?
The only preparation I need. No, I don't need any. And he starts walking off.
Wait. Before you go, real quick question. It just slipped my mind. Were your kids possibly taken by slavers? We found a bunch.
He looks back at you. Instead of hatred, it's a very remorseful sorrow. If only they were that lucky.
Well, good luck, and try not to die till we get there. Pretty please.
George does look at the man. Now, I hate to be business in a time of incalculable rage, but at least someone has to. You leave right now, your guard's gonna wake up. whenever he decides to wake up, seeing you gone and us standing here. Do you maybe want to tell him you're leaving? We can offer him a job, that's fine. But it feels a little wrong to leave him standing out here in the middle of nowhere.
He sighs to himself, reaches into his pocket and pulls out a very worn sheet of paper. Any of you have a pen or a pencil or something to write with?
Oh boy. Let me see.
I've got my notebook, John. Is it possible I have a pen or pencil to write in it?
I would say you would have a pen, yeah.
All right. I flip to the back of the book, carefully tear out a page, and hand him the pen.
Okay. He takes it and gives you a quick thanks, and writes out a note and folds it up. Like, he folds it in half and then folds it again and gives it to you, Lucas. Give this to him or to my wife.
Wait a minute. You're ditching your wife?
George kind of puts his hand up. Nancy, yelling at him won't stop him.
But
Let the man make his choice.
can we at least tell his wife? Where's his wife?
His wife will just march off to death with him. If you'd like to minimize casualties, just let him go.
He gives George a very sorrowful but thankful smile. And he turns and walks off.
I'm going to say George kind of he doesn't run, but he kind of sort of like briskly jogs over to him, just kind of just goes up beside him. One last thing. When we go, if you don't succeed, when we find you, I'll make sure you get a good burial. That's the best I can offer.
He smiles and chuckles to himself. Can't even promise you won't rummage through my pockets, huh?
Well, seeing as I just performed an autopsy on a freshly killed body, no, probably not. Or at least I wouldn't normally, but I typically don't rate the bodies of people I know. And whilst I don't even know your name, well, I feel a kinship with you might not be able to fully appreciate.
He turns and holds out his hand. Gregory.
George shakes his hand. George Sampson. Good luck.
He smiles and walks away, but you hear under his breath, I'm gonna need it.
You got ammo? Got a gun? Hey, you got a gun. You pointed it at us. What kind of ammo does it take?
He sighs. Basic 9mm.
Here's some more. I give him 70 rounds.
He looks fairly shocked, but he does take the ammo. Well, kindness is a rarity out here.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Trust me. And I kind of motion to my arm, like my fucking skin. Me and him, and I point at George. Me and him are kind of used to discrimination at this point.
He takes a second, looks at you confused, and then looks at George. I understand you're a ghoul. Why him?
20 years ago, according to him, there's a lot of issues with his kind.
Is George still standing there?
I figured you were.
Yeah.
Yeah, George can kind of look at him. Have you seen many of my kind? You know our story.
Aren't you just a better Mr. Handy?
George chuckles slightly. I'll give you the abridged version. 20 years ago, in a place called the Commonwealth, there was this group called the Institute. They thought they were going to save humanity, he does air quotes. Their plan was to make robotic humans. Me and things like me, we were the prototypes. Eventually, they made ones that actually looked human, and they tried to use them as spies. Long story short, it ended with a lot of death, a lot of distrust, and essentially a genocide of my people. Both ones that looked like me and ones that looked like you, and he points to the man. Whether we were with the Institute or not, we were killed on sight, lynched, hunted down, murdered in our sleep.
He takes a second and looks at the ground. While I can't imagine what you've gone through.
I've lost children. We can agree, so we can have an understanding on that. But you still have the chance to save yours. I don't have that chance anymore.
He pinches the bridge of his nose. He throws his arms up into the air. Fine. You win. And he walks back over to the fire.
You could say George kind of turns to walk with him and puts his one arm around his shoulder and just kind of remarks, "There's not much winning going on, friend. But I'm glad you're going to stay alive at least one more night."
Nancy is smiling at this but not saying anything.
Again, you said your name was Greg, right?
Gregory, yes.
Gregory, my apologies. Like we had said, if you wish to live your life at least one more day, or a couple more, because again, we intend to go to that point on that map. We intend to fight. We don't have the power at this juncture. Our settlement is open to your caravan. Free to come up. You're free to head that way. We'll meet you. We'll greet you with open arms.
George kind of looks at Lucas and say, "Well, frankly, I kind of figured we were just going to set camp here and either go back with you," he looks at Gregory, "or go back on our own in the morning if you decided not to come. Right now, you two knuckleheads need sleep, and probably so do the cows."
Probably.
He looks at George and smiles a little bit. So, I can go to sleep with such a dangerous, and he puts air quotes, robot around.
"Oh yeah, no, they use me as their sleep aid. You see," he kind of leans in slightly to Gregory, "I don't have the benefit of sleep. I'm awake. Always." And his eyes widen and his expression goes blank. Forever and ever. So yeah, I just stand in the middle of our settlement like a statue, watching.
He laughs a little. You're really not making a case for us wanting to stay.
No. personally, I'm not one for vanity, but if we ever become a thriving community, I think it'd be funny to put a lightweight statue in the center of town of myself and occasionally replace it with me and not tell anyone. You know what I'm...
Or have it be modular. The different limbs can be removed periodically.
Ooh, that'd be funny. Either way, you lot go to bed. I'll just be over by the fire. I can't feel it, but I don't know, it still calms me a bit.
We'll help you as best we can, Gregory.
George kind of looks at him. And I promise you, if you come back with us when we're ready to attack, I will set you up with whatever guns you want. Within reason. Even I'm not allowed to have every gun I want. But I'll do what I can.
Skeptical, but thankful. Well, so long as I can be a part of it, I don't mind waiting at least a day. Or two.
George nods. If it'll ease your mind, we'll keep you updated on what's going on. Last I heard, we were waiting about 2 days, 2 to 3. The leader of the Brotherhoods has some ideas they were looking into, so we were waiting on.
One thing to also note. Oh no, we did bring up the Brotherhood. You're right. Sorry, it's very late.
You sleep. And he kind of looks at Gregory. Frankly, you should probably sleep too. There's plenty of time to talk later.
Oh, I should probably point out, if you somehow decide you want to go rifling through my stuff, which I doubt you'll want to or be able to with my friend here keeping watch, don't drink from my flask. It will probably kill you within hours.
George kind of looks at Lucas like, did you really need to share that information? Because I don't even know why that's the case.
He looks cautiously between Lucas and George as he turns to the bigger tent. You're really making it hard for me to want to go to bed with you around.
Yeah, he does that. George kind of sits at the fire. Good night.
Good night, George.
Oh God, I hope his wife wakes up first and comes outside and just sees George staring into the flame.
Staring at the smoldering coals of the bed.
Yeah.
Alright. So, is the party setting up camp?
I think we are.
Yeah.
We're going to bring the woman up towards the camp. Get them out.
Yeah.
Right.
But if I may, after everybody's all set up in camp and sleeping, Nancy's gonna stay up with George for a little bit.
George is fairly immobile right now, so yeah, you can just walk up to him.
Hey there. She plops herself down near the fire.
How's it going, Nancy?
You know, I realized something earlier while we were having that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That very exciting conversation. I never knew your last name.
George kind of pauses. Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter much.
It's a name. It's there. It meant something at one point, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
By the way, I don't know if this is, pushing it a little. You don't have to talk about it, but when you said you lost kids, did you just mean Laura? Or are there other kids? Again,
George
you don't
kinda-
have to talk about it. I'm sorry if I'm pushing buttons, bro.
George kind of lowers his head. No, it's fine.
Buttons.
It's a thumb and
Get it.
something.
Get it? Because he's a robot.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just
You
going to be over here.
Ah, am I racist?
I don't know if that would qualify as... It would qualify as xenophobia. I don't know if it would be racist. Kind of like, can you be racist to, like, a cow? Like a sentient cow? I don't know. Whatever the case, George kind of lowers back to dead children.
Oh, fun.
George lowers his head. Well, there was Laura. It was also the one I shot.
Right.
And, well, the rest is more general loss. 70 years running with the railroad. A lot of things happened. And the Institute took no prisoners. If we got attacked, everyone was a target. That included kids. If you ever wonder why...
I'm sorry. Thank you for sharing this with me. Seriously, I know it must be difficult. I can't even imagine what you've gone through, but in all due respect, I'm just genuinely curious.
Mm-hmm.
And she gets real close and squints her eyes. How many people have you adopted, air quote?
This is an interesting question. I'm not particularly sure.
Also,
Because-
am I and Vlad considered your adoptees?
Technically, you still have a family, whether you like them or not.
Yeah.
Vlad and George's, after saying Vlad, George's eyes sort of adopt an angrier tone. I'm still undecided if Vlad has a family.
Well, Timothy and James, how are they not his family?
Well, one of them spent Vlad's entire life pretending to be the crazy soup salesman, and the other actively prevented him from knowing he had a family. Up until George kind of looks up. Oh, like 2 weeks ago, tops.
They seem to be repairing that kind of bond, though, don't you think?
If that's what you want to think, sure. The way I see it, Timothy made no effort to be a father. And it might just be a little too late to try and pretend he did.
I don't think he's pretending. And from what it sounds like, again, I don't know the full story. You obviously know more than me. About 99% of the time. But in this specific case, didn't he have reason to?
No. Honestly, no. He could try and justify it if he wants, but simply put, it sounds like the Brotherhood never really had a hard time finding a credence. He wasn't... And George kind of lowers his head. I don't know. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe he's just keeping secrets. What do I care? The point is, Vlad is damaged. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know who he is. He never had a father figure, and suddenly he does, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And I don't think Timothy knows what to do either. If the lad wants to try and have a father-son relationship with him, he's welcome to try. The question is, will Timothy put in the effort to make it happen?
That is a good point.
Either way, I've technically adopted many people. Some older, some younger. Some more as family, some more as protégés. In the end, almost all of them died. That's the uncomfortable reality with being a metallic man who doesn't die of old age.
Even with... I don't know, I just find that remarkable. That even people like us, who are a little not right in the head, you know, still care. Oh, sorry.
No, say what you were going to say, sorry.
I wonder if there will ever be a day when she kind of hugs herself and looks away. Stop caring.
If that day comes, and George looks at her, as it did for me, the important thing is to remember why you cared. Even if it becomes hard to do so. Just because you've lost the desire to doesn't mean you've lost the ability.
Yeah.
Evil is a choice, no matter what anyone wants to tell you.
Evil. That's a big word.
It's actually quite a small word.
Well, yes, but it has a lot of weight to it.
George kind of stares into the inky black nothingness again with the eyes of Ronald.
In his mind, he hears a faint ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
I'm losing it. Can we just replace the inky black nothingness? Can we just say Ronald or the eyes of Ronald? It's like if we are ever playing like another kind of campaign, if anyone is like you're staring into the darkness, like you're staring into the eyes of Ronald. It's like, but yeah, George stares into the darkness and kind of shudders. I think we've looked into the eyes of evil today.
It was wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I also have a feeling she can, one way or another, hear me. Because, well, at this point, I'm just always assuming I'm being listened to.
Why do you think she's doing this?
She said it herself. She's bored.
What do you think her deal is?
Well, she's very smart. Clearly psychotic. He kind of looks at Nancy. From a psychology standpoint, we are sociopaths. Well, potentially sociopaths. We struggle with emotion, but we're still capable of forming emotional connections and bonds. She seems more like a psychopath, which means no emotional bonds, no empathy. Cares exclusively about herself.
Must be lonely.
Honestly, probably not. If you lack the ability to empathize with humans, why would you want them around? They're loud, smelly, and constantly begging for attention.
Do I beg for attention?
George looks at Nancy and smiles slightly.
This is a genuine question. I need to know the answer. There's no right answer here. There's just the truth. You can tell me, George. I can take it.
Well, I was out here alone admiring the fire, and you decided to come out and ask me my life story, so... Yeah, me you want attention? Yeah. Doesn't matter. The point
I
I
still
make...
don't know what Lucas's backstory is.
He's old and grouchy.
Yeah, but why?
He's grouchy
George.
because he got old.
I mean, yeah. George kind of cracks his neck again. Well, it's not really my place to say, but I will say this. He and I have a similar... we had similar upbringings, in a sense. We came from people who didn't care, and when we stopped being useful to them, they tried to destroy us. At least that's what I've gathered.
He doesn't talk much about himself, does he?
No. I think that's how he copes. Easier that way. Not building connections. Not opening up to people. Hurts less when you have to leave them. I went through that phase. Granted, I stopped more so because I went mad. It works. Either way, Shorts looks at her. I actively went out of my way to put Deathclaw gloves on my armor.
Yeah, but you're not like, I don't know. I once read this book.
Okay.
You can read another book, too.
Oh my god. You probably have heard of it. Alice in Wonderland?
Yeah. Yes.
These
There's
are not
still
like-
copies. It still exists.
Yeah, my sister used to have a copy.
Interesting.
She liked the cat. The cat was her favorite.
Yeah, it is interesting. Insanity is an interesting thing in itself. When I say I'm crazy, I mean I have a questionable sense of desire to live. I often throw myself into death.
Yes, I've noticed. And yet you yell at me for it, but, you know, it's understandable.
George kind of... Should we move this forward? Should we just...
If you want, yeah.
Me.
I'm getting a sense of agitation. Yeah, let's... If you want to continue this conversation in private, Marina, we can just roleplay it
I'm
at
pretty
some
much
point.
done. I'm pretty much done. I just asked the questions Nancy was curious about already. I guess at this point it was just kind of filler.
Okay. Yeah, well, yeah, let's just table that then and progress the plot.
Lot.
So is everyone just going to bed then?
Except George.
Yeah.
All right.
George can pretend.
You can. You can try.
He can close his eyes, but he will see the stare of the Ronald. Whenever he just has, like, for some fucking reason, they drew very realistic pictures of Ronald McDonald on the inside of his eyelids, which is why he never blinks, because he knows what he will see.
All right.
Oh god.
Well,
Why? No
I would
more.
say that is where we can end it for tonight.
Fair enough. Matt.
Woo!
Yay. You alright there, Matt?
Mm-hmm.
You sure?
Mm-hmm.
Did we bore you?
Mm-hmm.
At least he's honest.